Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second class, and this one of the two videos for this week. And as is stated in the title, this video is going to be much more concerned with the method that you're going to need to work on for the orals, the CAPS orals. And of course, we are not going to be concerned with the parts of we're going to be concerned with the English speaking parts of your orals. And what we're going to focus on is going to be that what is referred to as the épreuve de mise en situation professionnelle, right? And that will be that part where what you're supposed to do is you have a set of documents that you're given. You have 3 hours to prepare. Then you're going to have your 20-minute presentation. You can read it in the program. I might as well read it in French. It's probably a good idea to sort of refresh your memory with what you're supposed to do. You have une première partie. Donc this is the part that we're going to be concerned with. As you have all read and you have in mind, we are concerned with the part that is described as une première partie en langue étrangère consistant en exposé comportant la présentation, l'étude et la mise en relation des documents. So that's important. We have this présentation, l'étude et la mise en relation. And I think that mise en relation, that sort of formulation is really going to be at the heart of what we're going to talk about today. And then notice we have the idea that we have you have your 20-minute presentation followed by your 10-minute interview. L'exposé est suivi d'un entretien en langue étrangère, right? So in English, of course, durant lequel le candidat est amené à justifier sa présentation et à développer certains éléments de son argumentation. So I'm going to talk about what that is, right? So to be clear, and there's a written explanation of this, but I'm going to expand on what we have stated before. What we're going to ask you to do is really going to be what is commonly referred to, in French. I don't know, the university and like prépa academic circles, what is known as école, and which just means it's sort of you're just going to do a practice run. You're going to You're going to record yourself because unfortunately we can't do this. Unfortunately, that would be telling you what I'm telling you now. We would both be in the same room, but you're going to have to record yourself giving this 20-minute presentation, right? It's unfortunate that we will therefore not really be able to practice as much on the interview, the 10-minute interview that follows, but that's just, the nature of the beast. So we are going to ask you, Mr. Kamiyama and myself, to send us, each of you, and this is going to your grade is going to really be made upon a presentation which you're going to give us, which will be essentially we're going to send you a set of documents, right? And this week you've already been given one example. We're going to send you a few so you can sort of be familiar with the kind of things that you're given as sets of documents. And so you are going to we're going to send you a set of documents, right? I would say a week beforehand. And you are going to buy the limit date will be by the 1st of June. You are going to send us a recording of your presentation of the set of documents. Now, we're not going to be nasty. We're not going to grade this nearly as severely as you will be graded on the CAPS. We're just gonna, we just want to see you make a wholehearted preparation, and it's really the reason we're doing it is because, it's really important that you are used to doing this exercise. So that means to really explain, give you sort of guidelines, give you a feel for how you can sort of successfully do this, right? Give your presentation, which is the best way to practice is doing it, right? I'm going to sort of describe try to give you a feel for what the jury expects, and then we're going to go sort of farther into what kind of method, right? And hopefully the idea is you will hopefully see why, the other part, the other half of these videos, which are less focused on method, but which are sort of, we could sort of say like a cultural refresher. We've gotten through a few centuries of English and or the UK history in the other videos, and that should hopefully make it a little bit clearer once you start seeing these sets of documents and you start analyzing them. It should become perhaps a little bit clearer how that can help you to relate the ideas, as they say, show the relationships between these documents. It's very important. I think that formulation is the one you should really keep in your mind at all times. This idea of what they call la mise en relation des documents. It's really important is to really not forget one document and forget one document or only concentrate on one document and forget all the others. It's really important to always be kind of showing the relationship between these documents, similarities and differences. So, for a few general remarks, so the first thing I'm going to do is give you some general remarks about what it's like to give a presentation. Now, of course, the format will be slightly modified. You're going to be doing this, in real life, and we're trying to really prepare you for your real life test. This will happen, in the spring of 2021. You will have being, towards the end of your year as a stagiaire, right? And it's definitely not the way that's usually done, but this should hopefully help you because you will have some experience, more experience talking in public. It should really be to your benefit. So I think you should look at that is sort of a helpful thing. And so you're going to be giving, it's difficult to say exactly how that will be organized, but what I can say is, well, first of all, I should say that I have served on on the jury of the CAPES externe, I don't know, six years ago or so. I don't know, I forget the exact year, a little while ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And I'd like to say I can give you an idea of sort of what I've been on the jury. I've evaluated lots of candidates, and I think it's important to me to sort of give you an idea of who you're going to be presenting your I would say presenting your set of documents to, what they expect, sort of give you a feel for the situation. So, and that should really help you to maybe get a better idea of sort of how you should what kind of a mindset you should be in when you go about doing this. So you're going to, in normal circumstances, you're going to be presenting your set of documents in front of, usually there'll be two members of the jury, right? Okay. And there will be two different, now as you're aware, you have sort of, there is the part that is in French and there is the part that is English. And one part is, there's going to be, what we're going to be concerned about here is we're not specialists in didactics. We're going to be more concerned, there's going to be one specialist, one of the members of the jury is very likely to be a fairly young professor in a university, right? A young young researcher, right? Okay. And they will have little or no knowledge of didactics and the things that you need to know about, the workings of a high school classroom. One of the members of the jury will be much more concerned, will be much more knowledgeable about, presenting the material that is in the material that is in the documents and the way you present it. So, and the other member, you're gonna have two people. The other member will most likely be someone who will be someone who teaches in college or high school, who has a lot of experience as sort of like what we would commonly refer to as a tutor, right? So they're very up to date on sort of the whole I would say the more pedagogical aspect of what you're going to be talking about. So they're going to be a little bit more I would say, knowledgeable as far as everything that you're going to talk about when you are going to give your presentation in French, relating to sort of the pedagogical side, right? So that's good to know that you'll probably see that one person will ask you. That'll probably be obvious once the interview starts, that which of these two people is more of an expert on the academic side, and the other person is more expert on the um, on the pedagogy side. Because I was every when I was on the jury, right, uh, I was always with someone else, and it rotates. I was with someone for, let's say, 2 or 3 days with the same person, and then it rotates and it goes on for a few weeks. And I was always with someone who was an expert in pedagogy, right? And that was how, and that's when you realize that, of course, there were never, to my knowledge, two people who were experts in, let's say, I don't know, content or like culture. That's kind of the way it works. It's sort of probably good for you to know when you're who you're talking to. And another thing that's important, as far as this is concerned, is that it's actually I'd like to sort of be honest about the listening experience when you're in the jury. It's tiring. I mean, it's a tiring thing when you're on the jury. It's a little bit of a physical test. You have to, you have, sort of, you don't have very much time to hear a lot of presentations. You have to analyze them. You have to have the interviews. You have to you have to grade them. Fill out forms. And you begin very early in the morning. You end fairly late in the day. You have a brief pause for lunch. Most people just sort of, they want to take a nap, or they want to sort of free their minds. And it's also, it goes on for a few weeks. So it's important for you to know that. What does that mean? You have everything to gain by giving a very clear presentation, right? Those are the presentations that were the most well received, right? You want to, and it makes some kind of sense. The people who are listening to your presentations, you don't want to get lost in a very complicated explanation, right? And so I would say that if it is difficult for the listener to follow, right, for your, let's say, the member of the jury to really, if the member of the jury is not really sure why you go off into a certain explanation, right, it seems a little bit, gratuitous, and it's a little bit lengthy, and it's very involved, and you might get lost. That's really the last thing you want to do, right? Because the member of the jury is going to then say, "Ooh, what? It's not very reassuring," because the member of the jury will be thinking, "Well, this candidate here, I have difficulty imagining them, in front of a classroom, clearly present, really making the clarity of what you say is the thing that's going to really assure that, the whole classroom is following what you're saying." So that I think you should always keep that in mind when you're giving this presentation, is that you want it to be clear, right? It's supposed to be a very well organized, clear presentation. Okay, that's it. So maybe I'm going to talk a little bit about that from the point of view of intonation, right? Intonation involves sort of the spoken chain. So you have your 20 minutes to speak, right? Now you notice this is part of what a concours, I would say, national. So of course you're going to have to organize your ideas, right? You're going to need an introduction, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about how you're going to put that together, your introduction. Then you're going to need your, at the end of your introduction, you're going to have it as what we say in French, l'annonce de la problématique, right? And towards the end of your introduction, you have your annonce de problématique, and then you have l'annonce du plan. You're gonna need to do that, right? That's gonna be the way you're gonna organize your speech. So then you say what your parts are gonna be, between 2 and 4 parts. Usually 3 is a good idea, but if it's not necessary, but it does need to be well organized. And then you're going to go through your part 1, part 2, part 3, and then into your conclusion, right? So it's very important that these different parts are well articulated, right? And one way to do this now, this whole idea of making, finding a good problématique and finding a good, let's say plan. It's a difficult, that's something you've been working on, I think, throughout your, I don't know, your academic careers, right? This is something you've thought about a lot. I don't want to give too much advice on that, but notice that will be the thing that will. It's important, you know. If you're not extremely good at finding a problématique,